Good morning, everyone. Dear colleagues and friends, welcome to the second Niagara Conference on Workplace Mobbing. Before we invite Father Ma to give his remarks, let me share some background on how this conference came to be, where we are now, and where we hope to go in the future. This initiative for institutionalizing workplace mobbing research began less than three years ago, October 27th, 2022, to be exact. When I first met Dr. Kenneth Westhill, many of you already know him as a leading scholar and pioneer in this field. I had already read most of his work, but our meeting in person sparked something important. Step one was to organize a roundtable discussion on institutionalizing research on academic mobbing at the 2023 American Society of Criminology Conference in Philadelphia. That session laid the groundwork for what followed in cooperation with Professor Richard Pelstill from the University of Massachusetts School of Law. Key principles underlying our effort included, first, to clearly distinguish mobbing from bullying. Second, to separate the definition of mobbing from its consequences, something Highness Layman did not do. Third, to respect self-diagnosis by target, but never accept it at face value. And fourth, to focus on observable events and behaviors rather than assumptions about mental states or motives. The three of us, Ken, Rick, and I, began planning what we thought would be a small seminar. Never imagined it would attract 71 participants from 16 countries. It was a challenge to find a university willing to host our intended seminar. What turned into the 2024 Niagara Conference on Workplace Mobbing. The responses we received were cautious and hesitant until I shared our vision with Dr. Tim Allen, the provost of Niagara University. He immediately said yes. And with the full support of Father Ma, the president of Niagara University, we found not just a venue, but a home. On behalf of everyone in our growing community of researchers, advocates, and targets of mobbing, I want to express my heartfelt appreciation to Niagara University for believing in this work. Now, where are we today? Thanks to so many dedicated individuals and generous supporters. The inaugural 2024 Niagara Conference on Workplace Mobbing was a success. Since then, we have made great strides. We established the World Association for Research on Workplace Mobbing. We launched the Journal of Workplace Mobbing, which published its first issue just a few weeks ago. And today, we are here, come together again in Niagara University for the second annual conference. Hearty welcome to all of you. Our determination to continue this scholarly scientific endeavor is strengthened by the feedback all mobbing researchers routinely receive from people who have been wrongly humiliated at work and eliminated from their workplace, or who have watched this happen to people they love, their husband, their wives, their friends, sons, and daughters. Thank you 1,000 times. This is the common sentiment in the feedback we receive. Thank you for helping us understanding what happened, for teaching us a word to describe it, for pointing a way forward, for giving us clarity and hope. Appreciative messages like this are a repeated reminder of why this initiative to advance the science of mobbing, to spread knowledge of it, and to take action on the basis of it matters so deeply. Tomorrow, Tuesday, the closing session of this conference will focus on planning ahead. I invite all of you to join that discussion as we chart the future of the World Association for Research on Workplace Mobbing, the journal, and this annual Niagara conference. Thank you for being here. And now, please join me in welcoming someone who has championed this cause from the beginning, the president of Niagara University, Father James Marr.
Good to see you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and I'm delighted to welcome you in person and virtually. I want to just also point out my colleague, Dr. Tim Ireland, who's here. Tim is our provost and chief academic officer. Tim is a great colleague, and I asked him to become provost almost 10 years ago. And Tim is his discipline is criminal justice. He is reflective of our faculty at Niagara University. He's a wonderful teacher scholar. He's published prodigiously in criminal justice and specifically around youth living in risk. So we're very, very fortunate to have Tim as our provost and our chief academic officer and the number 2 person at the university. So I just want to acknowledge him as well. Dr. Meng, thank you for putting this together for the 2nd year in a row. It is, as you'd imagine, incredible amount of work. And so we are incredibly grateful to you for the work that's been done. I welcome all of you and on this really critical and important topic and building knowledge and research and practice around best practices around not only diagnosing the problem of workplace mobbing, but how, as Dr. Meng said, how do we move forward? Niagara University was founded in 1856. Bit of history here. As you can tell from my dress, we are Catholic and have a Catholic tradition and Catholic character. The expression of that is also in what we refer to as our Vincentian mission. And that really finds its origin in St. Vincent de Paul, a 17th century Roman Catholic priest who had a profound experience in his life of encountering human suffering, poverty, and misery. And really, in a certain sense, opened his life and challenged himself really to pivot from a life of comfort to and one of security, really, to one that was a total commitment to forming structures of charity alleviation and really transforming the face of France. And at that particular point, the Roman Catholic Church. Today, over 1 million people refer to themselves as followers in some way, shape, or form of St. Vincent de Paul, referring to themselves as Vincentian in all a diversity, ways, and walks of life. A little bit about Niagara University. Our total enrollment is just over 4,000. We are a comprehensive university, undergraduate and graduate. We are regionally based, obviously, as you know. We also are binational. We have a campus in Vaughan, Ontario. And so in its origins, Niagara University has always had a deep and abiding commitment to being binational. And we're quite proud of that, particularly in these days. We have 5 colleges at the university: nursing, arts and sciences, education, business, and hospitality, sport, and tourism. So you sit in where the hospitality, sport, and tourism college resides on this floor. And we also have a presence in Buffalo. Niagara University, ironically, was founded in Buffalo. And now we have a dynamic medical research laboratory in the Buffalo Medical Corridor as well. A little bit about yourselves in this conference. We welcome back the 35% of attendees from the inaugural 2024 conference who are here. So welcome back to Niagara University in person or virtually. This year, there are 81 total participants in the conference. 35 of you are in person and 46 of you are virtual. 98% of you come from public sector institutions and 2% come from private. And I won't go through the array of academic and professional disciplines, but it's truly a wonderful, diverse tapestry of research and teaching and interests and professional interests. So I always say that that's just a wonderful blessing to be able to be surrounded by such intelligent, gifted people from an array of diverse disciplines and professional academic disciplines. I also would say I'm beyond intrigued. I'm very, very interested in the concept of workplace mobbing and workplace development. As president of Niagara University for 12 years now, I'm always thinking about the work and the community environment. And I regard part of my position and responsibility is, one, how do I help people to be able to be more effective in their roles as faculty and administrators and staff? And then how can I create with others an environment where people can come together and enjoy their life and their work? We spend most of our waking hours at work. And so it behooves us in leadership to say, how can we create an environment that's not only safe and protective, but that really nurtures human dignity and lends itself to human fulfillment? I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm still working on it. I offer you, just from my own context, a point of interest, and you're free to discard it and say, thanks, Father, but we'll see you later. The Catholic Church really underwent a seismic event within the last 3 months, which was the death of Pope Francis and the election of Pope Leo XIV. And interestingly, you may know this, may not know it, may have interest or not interest, but Pope Leo born in the United States and obviously in Illinois, spent a number of years as a missionary and as a bishop in Peru, and then also lived in Rome, ministered and served in Rome. So life on 3 continents in his almost 70 years. But he chose the name Leo. And he chose that for a particular reason. Pope Leo XIII lived almost 100 years ago. And he was occupying the papacy in a time of incredible upheaval, economically, politically, and socially. Incredible disparities of wealth, incredible disparities in workplace safety and exploitation. And he felt compelled to use his office and his ministry as Pope to be able to speak on behalf and act on behalf of workers and of the workplace environment. So he penned with his advisors what was the first encyclical of Catholic social teaching, which now has a body of over 100 years, Rerum Novarum, written 1891-ish. Of new things is the interpretation, or of revolutionary things as well. And his fundamental premise in this writing this document and promulgating it through Catholic social teaching was to say, if the Catholic Church and its leadership doesn't lead in regard to workplace safety, in the flourishing of human dignity, of dealing with economic disparities, then forces of the world will lead and it will get even worse. So of significance was Cardinal Prevost taking the name Pope Leo XIV as he sees his ministry being able to really focus one key area around that whole notion of community development, workplace development. And in a particular focus of one of his first talks was both the opportunity and the danger of the emergence of artificial intelligence. So I leave that with you. Maybe when I'm retired as president, you'll invite me back to present on that. But I write of a particular interest. My doctoral thesis was on Nike contracted factories in Vietnam. And if you want to talk about workplace mobbing, it's a mob. And it's an incredibly challenging set of circumstances to form a community of the workplace as you move forward. So I congratulate you really on the incredible academic work that you do. I continue to urge you on, the discipline of your research and really getting to what I would call the causes and the diagnosis, but also to propose a solution-based approach to help us all, as Dr. Meng said, move forward. So welcome to Niagara virtually and personally. I look forward to seeing you around the campus this week, and we're delighted to have you here. Thank you very much.
1 year ago, at the first Niagara conference on workplace mobbing, we were delighted to have greetings from the anthropologist Florencia Pano, the leading expert on mobbing in Mexico. Florencia and I met in person in Mexico City this past April. We are pleased that she has submitted a paper for this year's conference, scheduled for tomorrow in session 8. But in our first session this year, we are delighted to have greetings from one of Florencia's collaborators, Dr. Brian Martin, Emeritus Professor of Social Sciences at the University of Wollongong, New South Wales, Australia. 10 years ago, Florencia and Brian co-authored an article on public mobbing that continues to be the standard reference for the kind of mobbing that occurs not in a specific workplace, but in the public sphere. Brian Martin is a polymath. His PhD from the University of Sydney in 1973 was in physics. Soon, however, he was drawn to the study of conflict among scientists and scholars, as well as among nation states. Through countless research projects and political activism, Martin has established himself as the main authority in Australia, maybe the world, on whistleblowing, the reasons for it and the consequences of it, both for whistleblowers and for those on whom the whistle is blowing. His website on suppression of dissent is a treasure chest of insight and practical advice for anyone who dares to speak his or her own mind. He is a champion par excellence of free inquiry. He considers the term settled science a contradiction in terms. Most participants in this conference are probably already familiar with Martin's scholarship, but in general, both in general and directly about mobbing. Hence, let me introduce his greetings to us by telling you something about him you probably do not know, that a couple of marine biologists were so grateful for Martin's research on power and suppression in science that when they discovered a new species of lobster, they named it in Brian's honor. Its official name forever is Polycheles martini. That's the new species, the name of the lobster they found. Here's Brian.
I'm Brian, and I'm talking to you from Wollongong, Australia. It's a mild, sunny winter.
and sometimes and with the loss of productive members, and it's a form of injustice which needs to be countered. So yes, it's important on its own right and is worth studying. But there's another reason I think why a lot of people study mobbing, and that's because they've either been mobbed themselves or they know someone who has been. It's such an emotionally, enormously draining experience, and sometimes to get on top of it, it's important to learn about it, learn what happens to others, and to try and make some sense of it. Not easy, but it is an important motivation for mobbing research. And there's a third possible reason, and that is that mobbing isn't just an isolated phenomenon, but it's linked to all sorts of wider social processes. For example, conformity, social control, scapegoating, power, and corruption. And for all of these, mobbing provides a sort of insight into what's going on. It's a sort of like manifestation of some of these wider processes. So by studying mobbing, we can learn about social control, corruption, and the like. And likewise, by studying these wider areas, we can get more insight into mobbing. And then there's a fourth reason why I think it's worthwhile studying mobbing, and that is that you meet some of the most interesting people. Mobbing doesn't discriminate according to one occupation or one group of people, one nationality. It's something that's across the board, and so you'll meet people from all walks of life. Now, admittedly, some of them have been severely traumatized by their experiences, but nonetheless, they have much to offer, much to learn about. And so my hope to you is that whatever you may discuss about mobbing at the conference, I hope you meet some very interesting people. Thank you.